So in the past couple of weeks, Mabel and I have started to hear so much about how bad the job market is right now. Like we've seen TikToks of people saying they've applied to hundreds and hundreds of jobs and haven't gotten anything. We have friends who are just telling us they can't get a job to save their life. And then we saw the craziest headline that the entire city of New York has added fewer than 1,000 private sector jobs so far this entire year. So literally a city of 8 million have added 956 jobs in 2025.
No, it is so grim right now. So hiring has basically stopped in New York during the same period last year. Businesses in the city hired 66,000 workers. That comparison just shows how rough it is out there right now. And it's not just New York. The nationwide unemployment rate is at 4.3%, which is actually the highest since 2021, aka like COVID era.
So today we really wanted to look at why is the job market so bleak right now and what is it like for those of us trying to get a job. So there's obviously a lot of factors contributing to this, but the main one is the economy. Trump's tariffs on all imports have driven up costs for companies, so they're cutting back on things like hiring.
Yeah, and his immigration crackdown has made it harder for businesses to find workers. So that's actually led corporations to scale back on projects and basically shrink the country's labor force little by little. And then, of course, the federal government itself has also cut jobs. We've all been following that and canceled contracts that have bled into and impacted the private sector.
Plus, Trump's like willy-nilly changing his mind on like tariffs today, tariffs not tomorrow. Like policies kind of have kept the corporate world cautious because they're like what's going to stick? So they don't know what to do. They're just like not doing anything. And this is having the exact opposite effect of what Trump promised it would, because at his April Liberation Day tariffs announcement, he said jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country. But actually, since then, manufacturers have cut 42,000 jobs and builders have downsized by 8,000 jobs.
Yeah, so many of his policy decisions were made with the reasoning of, oh, this will bring jobs to the country, and we've yet to see that happen. Like in 2024, he suggested that deporting illegal immigrants would protect, quote, black jobs, but the black unemployment rate has actually climbed to 7.5%, which is the highest since October 2021. So again, COVID era, and he's deported over 200,000 people. So it's just not adding up.
He's also made all those huge investments with all the big tech companies in AI, saying that's going to bring jobs to this country. But we've actually kind of started to see the opposite because now AI is taking lower level jobs.
Yeah, it's weird. We're seeing him host all of these dinners at the White House with these huge tech leaders saying AI will deliver job numbers like our country has never seen before at some point a year from now. But he obviously hasn't laid out how. So it feels like it's just like another way to get the American people behind what he's doing. He's continuing to promise jobs, but we are still waiting for all of that.
Well, then we can't forget last month, he literally fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, so BLS, because she revised data that ended up showing the US has added fewer jobs than had been previously reported. And he was like, she's being politically motivated and these are phony numbers. And I remember like Trumpers online at the time being like, yeah, you can't just change the numbers after like it's already out there.
But job revisions are a routine practice. Like, why wouldn't they be? BLS and other government agencies obviously update all of their like documents as more data comes in. Like, for example, quarterly insurance tax filings come in and that changes the data that they have. So why would that be a bad thing to update?
No, I mean, it makes so much sense. Like, it takes a long time to do full inventory and compile all the numbers and lists. And this is literally for the entire country. So either Trump doesn't know that or he just doesn't care and he's trying to control the narrative. But he's already chosen who he wants to be the new BLS commissioner. And it's someone from the Heritage Foundation. So no one's surprised. It's 2025.
So as much as Trump is trying to, like we said, control the narrative, economists and even Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell have said that the recent jobs data reflects a way weaker labor market than was suggested. So to get a clearer picture on what's actually going on, we spoke to Giovanna Ventola, who's an expert in the job market and founder of Rise, which is a network of job seekers across the country.
Okay, so Giovanna, we're so happy you're here because we need you to help break down these latest unemployment numbers and even more importantly, what do they mean?
So the jobs report that came out most recently said that we added 22,000 jobs, which is super low in comparison to what they said we were going to add. So it was all hyped up that there was going to be 75,000 new jobs, and it was actually 22,000. On top of that, the revisions from previous months essentially meant that we cut the jobs in half that were actually reported. So the last, call it, year we've been told one thing, and now as the revisions are coming in from the data, it's actually the job market has been terrible for longer than we thought.
Whoa. And the ratio of unemployed people to openings and what it is now, can you tell us about that?
Back in 2022, there were two job openings for every unemployed person. And now we're at a point where there's less than one job opening for every unemployed person that's looking for work. And there's 1.9 million long-term unemployed people. So long-term unemployed is now what they're calling people that are unemployed for 6 months or more. And there was another number in that report that came out that I thought was interesting. 6.4 million people want to work but can't. So they're like not really counted in the numbers.
These numbers are crazy. I mean, do we know what industries have been hit the hardest at all? Like, is it everyone?
It's everyone. So I feel like we used to be able to track and say certain things were happening, but so much has changed in the economy in the last 3 years. I mean, granted, since COVID, it's been really 5 years, but we're seeing jobs being cut in education, healthcare, tech. All of the jobs that used to feel stable are now not. And now with like AI coming in, they're even saying certain tech jobs, software engineering, all of that might start disappearing. Entry level jobs certainly have seen a hit, and creative jobs too.
And we're glad you mentioned the economy and the pandemic because we're curious, like, what factors are causing this very bleak job environment? Is it just the economy?
I think it's a mix. I think that AI coming in is providing some support in entry level work or work, maybe data driven work, the sort of work that you don't need a human being's touch on. I think that there's a lot of offshoring, and we see these big cuts like Microsoft laid off 15,000 people, but the CEO's salary is $80 million, dollars, or Salesforce is laying off 4,000 people, and they're saying, we're going to give a bunch of work to AI, but their CEO salary is $55 million, dollars, and they paid Matthew McConaughey $10 million. dollars. And so there's just some decisions and some bucketing. So we're kind of seeing that prioritization of profit over people across the board now.
You've reported on how people with jobs are also hitting new levels of dissatisfaction, and a lot of them are so disengaged with their work. And this has led to some new job jargon that we've heard you refer to. So, can you help explain to everybody what those words mean, like job hugging?
Yeah, it like makes me sad that it's this bad that the media has to report on it, but job hugging and quiet cracking are the two that are just all over the place right now. Job hugging is exactly what it sounds. People are hanging on to their jobs for dear life. I personally have friends in this situation where they've been with companies for a long time and they know nothing else, and they know if there's any way to make a leap and they go somewhere else, they might be the first to be laid off. So it's safer to stay where they're at, lesser of two evils, and it's not allowing for growth in their career. So they feel really stagnant. And, that we all know causes certain emotions, feelings, depression. So there's job hugging, it's safe. And then that leads to quiet cracking. So you can only be in that headspace for so long before your mind starts to kind of go a little bit crazy. And I think part of it is the quiet cracking comes from companies are laying people off, and then the people that are left have survivor's guilt and they feel terrible. And then they're absorbing all the work from their colleagues that were just laid off. So not only are they not able to move up, they can't get a bigger title, they can't get a raise, but now they're taking on more work.
You do have this community of job seekers and professionals that share their experiences looking for jobs and in their work with you. So you're the perfect person to like take the temperature check of this. Like, what are the most common stories that you're hearing from people?
So there's over 4,000 people in this community, and I take surveys with everyone. And there are a couple numbers that stick out consistently with me every time. So we ask specifically about ghosting during the interview process or the hiring process, because this seems to be a new trend and there's nowhere to report this. So 93% of our members have been ghosted at some point during the hiring process after making contact. I mean, they spoke with a person, somebody emailed them or called them. Over 60% of our members that have been laid off did not receive a dime of severance. So to me, that shows that the company that laid them off prioritized hiring and then didn't think about the implications of having to let a person go. People that were with companies for 20 years walked away with nothing. And then the last stat I'll share that I think is super important. 99% of members who filled out our survey, employed, unemployed, all the above, believe mental health support is crucial, essential for job seekers right now in this market.
Do you know like what the average number of jobs of like an unemployed rise member has applied to? Like how many are we talking?
Yeah, this also kind of blew me away. The average number of applications a member applies to is 279 applications. And it's like 279 applications that go unanswered. Most of the time, we also ask about response, and there's like essentially a 1% chance of getting a response to an application you put out there.
Oh my God.
1% is crazy.
And so our last question, we always try to end on a positive note, but if there
Yeah.
isn't one here, please be real with us. Like, are there any signs that the market might be improving at all?
Give you some real tough love, and then I'll give you my take. I don't think the job market is getting any better anytime soon. I think that it's going to be completely messy for the next couple of years. But I do think what I've learned in this time is that people genuinely want to work. People genuinely want to figure it out. And there's a lot of people that are extremely hard workers that are using this time to figure themselves out and figure out really how they want to contribute to the world. And I am so blown away by the human to human interaction that's happening in Rise and people really helping each other and getting on calls. And to me, that is pushing anything out that AI is going to take over human connection. And so I think the resiliency that I'm seeing is going to outweigh the robots. They'll implode. We won't.